the young filmmakers, actors, singers, writers, producers that are coming up behind my generation. In particular, Barry Jenkins. Young people understand this young man made 10, 15, 20 short films before he got the opportunity to make Moonlight. So never give up. Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson, P. Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Michael T. Williamson, no Stephen McKinley Henderson, no Russell Hornsby. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. See you at work.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're in the studios of WLTT 1180 AM. I have the Port City of Wilmington, North Carolina.
These are dangerous people.
The show is called No Covers Live, Straight Talk, No Chaser. That's No Covers Live, Straight Talk, No Chaser. I'm your host, Daoud El-Amin. Coming to you out of the Port City of Wilmington, North Carolina, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 12:30 until 1:30. Appreciate my audience that's coming in on Facebook Live. You can catch us there. You also can catch us on Gospel Joy. Audience over there at the Gospel Joy Facebook station. Also 910-765-0097. Or you can go to www.1180wltt.com. And if you're in your car driving, I hope you're cool because it's hot outside today. I'm hoping to make it a little hotter in here. Got a lot of stuff that we want to talk about. We want you to chime in. You all that like to chime in on Facebook, feel free to leave your comments. I didn't do a show on Monday. I apologize for missing. Had to take care of some things that were very important. And after Friday's show that I impromptu did outside the station, I came to a conclusion that I think a little different than most people, and I'm not going to change the way I think. I think my thought process may be a little different, but it's a thought process that I have gathered over 25 years adult doing what I call community service work, almost plus 30 years. I started this in 1988. So close to 30 years of doing community service, community-orientated work. That being said, that doesn't make me an expert. That doesn't mean what I say is actual and factual. It's just my opinion on certain issues. I want to start today back to what we started a show earlier called Uncultured Behavior, Uncultured Anger. Many of you are, and I'm going to bounce around today. If you feel like comment on Facebook, we're going to bounce around at several different subjects that I want to get to. But many of you saw the WAAY video that was over the weekend at Waffle House. I got a lot of inboxes, a lot of calls. I didn't post it on my page because it was taken down by the person who posted. I don't know if they sold it to WWAY. I don't know how they got their hands on it, but I know they did do a news story, an article on it. I know that they are investigating it. And I know that knowing the tourism of this town, that's not going to happen too many times. You can bank on that. What we have is what you saw in the video is what's being displayed not only in Wilmington, but all over the country. And I termed this almost several weeks ago. I called it uncultured anger. The situation that we had over in Houston Moore, I called it, it was a term I like to term stuff. I'm a psychologist, so, my degree is in psychology. Mental health has been my background for 20 years. So it's almost easy for me to term something. And I term that uncultured anger. Uncultured anger is a depth. We define it as not characterized by good, tasteful manners and education. Not classified by good taste, manners, or education. It's an anger that it hasn't been trained, it hasn't been refined. It's like mama say, don't you know how to act when you go out? Don't you know how to behave yourself, boy? Didn't I teach you better than that? That's what it's the opposite of that behavior. That you know how to behave yourself when you go somewhere publicly, when you're on public display. What you do over here might not be what you do over there. You know, certain things, certain language, when you go, me and my homeboys may be talking, but when we go in the bank, we switch up. You know, the language change, the dialect change, the posture changes, because there's certain things I can get away with over here, but certain things going to be frowned with over here. So as a child, we were trained on how to code switch, how to make a switch when we went from one place to the other. And what we did on the playground was not necessarily what we did at the schoolhouse, or what we did on the block, not what's necessarily what we did at the restaurant when we went out to eat with mom and dad. That's the way we grew up. That's the way we were trained. Those training days are over with. They're not happening with our children. You can see it because I'm looking at uncultured behavior. I'm looking at a behavior that has not been trained how to behave yourself when you're in public. What you do at the playground in the block in the middle of the night, it's not to be tolerated either, but that's where you do it at. You do that in the block. You do that on the street. You do that in your neighborhood. But with video cameras and the world watching everything you do, there's a certain way we have to behave and teach our children to carry themselves when they're out in public. Because all of the protesting that you do goes out the window when folks can say, see, I told you they were savages. Look at them throwing the chairs around in the place. Look at them beating up the security guards. See? All the protesting, all the marches on Waffle House, all the Starbucks, the shutdowns goes out the window when we produce within our own city videos that circulate. And they say, see, it gives justification for what they believe inside. It gives justification for them to say, see, uncultured behavior. They're not going to call it uncultured behavior. See, it's behavior that's produced by the opposite side. It's behavior produced by, we know where it comes from lack of jobs, from lack of education, from lack of having the resources that you need, for lack of wanting to live better if you can't, lack of being miserable every day. We know what the behavior comes from. We look at the behavior sometimes in our own children, many of us, and we try to get them out of the behavior, but it's some that don't have the skills necessary to get the behavior out of the children. So it becomes what I call uncultured behavior. So look for a change to happen real quick. I mean, they are, and we're talking right now, they're meeting on that particular video. There's a brand new Waffle House they built downtown. This is the middle of June. July tourism is coming. Wavy wasn't supposed to get a copy of that. That was supposed to have been taken down. They don't want to mess these tourism dollars up. But you can't have incidents like that at 2 o'clock in the morning on downtown Wilmington, because it's going to tear up the economy. my brother said, you see, I have to have this conversation with me and my brother because I'm the radical one of the family, or used to be. He's then got more radical than me lately, but I have to have this conversation with him. That's my brother online that said I've been switched up. Yes, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I guess I'm growing into maturity now. There was a time I was buck wild. My brother can tell you. I mean, he remember me getting kicked out of Virginia. He remember my disrespect for authority. Yeah, there was a time that I used to be that way. There was a time, but as you grow older, you learn, hey, use your common sense. As you grow into maturity, those days, and that's why I have an open testimony all the time about what I do and how I've got to this point. I was a radical, man. I was Malcolm X cloned, double. That was me. I didn't care nothing about the system, could care less. You want to march? I got bricks and bottles and got something packing in the car. That's how I used to be. I was a babe. I was growing into my maturity. I was understanding Afrocentric behavior. I was understanding, but as I got older, as I'm getting older, as I'm watching my grandchildren, I'm watching my children, and I'm watching them grow, you begin to say, whoa, 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 whoa. That's what got me in trouble this weekend. I'm sorry for the rampage on Friday, but I was just upset. What got me so upset, my brother told me never let it happen again. I got spanked for that, y'all. He told me never let that happen again. But it just angered me that we're always pointing the finger at someone else but won't take actions in our own community. That angers me. That here we are. We know what goes on in a certain situation in town. We know what goes on downtown. We know what goes, but when we're so skeptical about saying, hey, this person needs to get checked, or this person needs to check, or we need to check ourselves. We're always, I call it, I'm going to get to that. Me and Michael Carroll were talking this morning, and I was telling him, it's the other term I have is called community addiction. That's another term I like to call. It's called an addiction. The behavior that I see of black people today, post-Obama, President Trump, is an addiction. Really. It's an addiction. See, I have a privilege, the pleasure of working with addicts every day. After the radio station, my 9 to 7 job, I go and I work with an organization called Link, and I have the privilege of working with people coming out of prison. And most of the people nowadays that we have them coming out in 1 or 2 years are addicts. They're addicted to some kind of chemical substance or alcohol, and they have a substance abuse disorder that's causing them to behave a certain way, according to the theory. In that work and that relationship with them, I have the opportunity to try to figure out the behavior of how they operate and how they act. And what I begin to notice is there's a pattern to addiction. There's a pattern. If you follow addiction, there's a pattern. So my segue, my bridge, as Dad used to call it, he said you have to bridge the subject. This is my bridge into my next subject, and I'm going to come back across the bridge to my uncultured anger. The bridge is the addiction, the community addiction. When we look at our community today, there are 7 signs of addiction, and watch how they play out. Because when I see the addict who won't take responsibility for his own action, who won't get his life back in order, it's everybody else's fault. It's the upbringing I had, it's this, it's that. It's always pointing somewhere else, but never those 3 fingers is looking back itself and looking in the mirror and saying, I got to get over this addiction. This is what we are today, post-Obama, present-day Trump. Look at your black community and tell me you don't see these 7 signs. These 7 signs I'm going to give you. Unsuccessful attempts to quit. That's a sign of addiction. An unsuccessful attempt to quit. We are always blaming. We always got the blame game. It has become incumbent on us. And yes, give me, you're talking to an expert on slavery. You're talking to an expert on African American history. You're talking to an expert on what we've been through in the bondage and all the forces that we've had against us. I can give you volumes of research that I've done on that. But where are we at now? Because that's not going to change. You can take me all the way back to Timbuktu, all the way back up to Jamestown, and bring me all the way to Rosa Parks, and all of that's not going to change. You can bring me the Ku Klux Klan Riders. That's not going to change. What are we going to start taking responsibility for our action? That's what addicts do. They have unsuccessful attempts to quit because they're always blaming mama, daddy, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, the community. They're always blaming someone else for their own actions and won't say, you know what, man in the mirror, you got to get yourself together. Second addiction problem. Cued trigger response. I'm on addiction now, community addiction. Cued trigger response, uncultured behavior. Cued trigger response. A cued trigger response is something that caused you to revert back to a previous behavior that was negative for you. That's us as a community again. They can cue us. Anybody see the post I posted the other day about Superfly? Yeah. Every time when you get to going, we in pro Wakanda mode. We in Black Panther mode. You're going to reverse this. Cued trigger response. They make you relapse. A cue that triggers you and makes you respond to a relapse. Now, what they do is they send the cue out there. They send the response. It's like an addict that can be recovering, and all it has to take is a barbecue picnic. And he thinks about old times. All it has to take is a high school graduation, and you think about old times. All it has to take is going in a room and looking at somebody else high. A cued, triggered relapse, and it happens every day with us. The media cue us, and we relapse back to a behavior that was not good for us. Number 3, I have a problem with this one. This might miss community addiction. We talking about community addiction now. Loss of control. I lose my mind sometimes. We lose control of this community. We have no self-control. We lose control. We take everything to the extreme. Loss of control. You come out with a new fad, we'll take it to the extreme. You come out with a new sneaker, we take it to extreme. We come out with a new dance, we take it to the extreme. Anything we invent, we take it all the way to extreme. Look at our children today. Look at them. We taking it. We took tattoos to the extreme, y'all. We did. We took tattooing, simple tattoos. I got a couple simple ones, but we took it to the extreme. The neck, the lip, the nose, inside the ear, the back of the neck, up here under the armpit. We took it to the extreme. Anything we do, we lose control. We have no control response. We take alcohol. We just like the addict. We take everything to the extreme. There is no limit on what we do. We don't have a stop point. We don't have a stop sign. It's just go do it. Sagging pants. We take them to the extreme. We took that to extreme. Called it cool. Look at us. Loss of control. That is a sign of addiction. See, we're addicted to America. I'm going to get there in a minute. Staying vigilant. That's a trigger for an addiction. Addicted people do not like to stay vigilant. They start something and stop. They start, stop. Look at that. Start, stop. That's us. Start, stop. We start a movement, stop a movement. Start a movement. It take one incident and we up in arms, and all of a sudden, anybody heard about Sacramento like this? Huh? I said Sacramento. Have anybody heard from Sacramento lately? Did I stutter? Have we tuned in? Do we know what's going on? Have we been to court? But not been to court? Officer, we start and stop. We don't stay vigilant. We stay, and Facebook has messed us up because Facebook gives us this open airways to express our expression and say what we want to do, and we don't stay vigilant on one idea, one movement, one purpose for 50 seconds. 2 days is gone now. Well, Rosa and Martin them did 300. Somebody, Michael, you know, 300 a year and some days. 365 plus days they stayed on top of it till they got them buses changed. They walked, they carpooled for 365 plus days until, hey, you coming to terms with us and we ain't spending our money again. We go on a boycott, they give us a sensitivity training, we buying coffee the next week. We go on a boycott, they give us a reason, and next week we buying waffles again. We don't stay vigilant. The movement fizzles out. We get together, we have a kumbaya, we raise fists, we shout, we give some speeches, and we go home, and it's business as usual the next day. A sign of addiction. Staying vigilant. Number 6, a cross addiction. See, addicts have this thing, they cross addict. They may be addicted to one drug and then cross over to another drug because they think they get a substitute drug. Here's how it works. You may be addicted to cocaine, then you cross over to alcohol, but alcohol gets you even worse. We have the same problem. We cross addict. We may come out of one idea, one philosophy, and get into a new philosophy, and all of a sudden we even found gold, and we try to sell everybody on this new philosophy. And like the old philosophy was no good. That's why we have a problem with integration versus separation. It's called cross addiction. The problem we have with integration and separation is both of them right. We can't figure the balance in the middle. Those who want to separate, separate. Those who want to integrate, integrate. Come together and unify. It's simple. We can function under separation and integration, but we choose not to. We choose to argue with each other. We choose to continue the same Washington and Du Bois argument, which is called, I say, a cross addiction. We cross between lines and we argue back and forth on which philosophy is the best to get us situated here in this country. That's the 4/5 side. Now here's the kicker. 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 Addicts use self-medication. They're turned to self-medicating themselves. What they do is, I have this thing. We have they come in and one shift they want 4 Tylenols. The next shift they want 4 more Tylenols. The next shift they want 8 more Tylenols. The Tylenols is the pill that I'm missing, but it's taking the pain, and so I'm becoming addicted on Tylenol, painkillers. I can't get the codeine pain I want killer, the codeine killer I want, so I'm just gonna get a bottle of Tylenol and just keep popping Tylenol like they Skittles. We get another addiction. You know what ours is? Faith-based. Ooh, it gives us to feel good. And we forget about all that mess we used to do. We forget about the community because, ooh, I'm good now. Ooh, I got my fix. Yes. We get that good feeling and we forget. Never for the grace of God, go, I used to be that person. I used to be there. And we get way over here and forget about the community over here. This is our addiction, folks. This is the addiction. I see y'all are holding with me today. I'm glad to see so many people holding firm and riding this ship with me. And here's the last one. Here's the 7th one on my list. This is studies that I do on addiction. The seventh symptom I have of an addict is genetic vulnerability. Most of the addicts that I deal with is a genetic trigger. It's been passed on, passed on, passed on, passed on. It's a genetic addiction. The genetic code that has not been broken since slavery keeps us an addict to this country. And they know what to feed us, they know what to pump into it, they know how to control us because they know how to control these 7 areas of our addiction. And then we become addicted to the system that we're in, and we can't break out the system because we're sitting here with an addiction that we haven't cured. I'm coming next week with the cure. I just wanted to give you the data, the process, because I'm writing on this. I'm writing on this from an addict's point. How do we heal an addict? And the same way we go about healing an addict is the same way we need to heal our community because we're in post-Obama, present-day Trump addiction. I'm not down in Obama. Obama did some good things. But we ain't in Obama day right now. We're in present-day Trump day. Obama day is gone. We still living in Obama day, praying for them to come back, but they're not coming back no time soon. We in post-Trump era. He got 2 more years, y'all. And may have some more the way he going because he building up steam if you ain't watched. I've been watching closely. He went down. I ain't never seen more do a roller coaster like he did. He came in and went zoop. He went to the bottom of the basement. But in the last 6 months, I've been seeing that elevator rise back up step by step, coming back up to the top. We better get out of post-Obama, President Trump addiction soon. Because that elevator is rising. We got 2 more years left to deal with this thing. Our children are out of control. Our communities are out of control. See, once you I'm bridging again. Watch the bridge. I like to use the word bridge. My dad always said, you got to make the bridge. When you're dealing with subjects, you have to connect the subjects together. We call it a bridge. Here is the next bridge. The addict is always controlled by the drug dealer. See, when I watch my addicts, I have to watch them. My people struggling with addiction. I don't like to use the term addict. I said person struggling with addiction. When I'm dealing with a person struggling with addiction, I have to watch their signs because the trigger come. I have to look for the triggers. Somebody like, well, say if all of a sudden one of my guys get a job, and they get a brand new job. That's a trigger because now I know they're gonna have money in their pocket in about a week or 2 weeks. So now I got to brace because now the dealer sitting over here that they used to deal with, all of a sudden, hey, you my homie again because I know you're good for it. Because the dealer loves customers. So he loves to keep them at it because that's more money in his pocket. So the boys that he used to deal with and used to run with, they love them. The addict falls again because now I got him back under my clutches, especially when he's working. Called keeping them chumped out. Now watch this, community. Enter the case of William Hoviter. Was it Hoviter? Hoviter. Somebody get his name right. The case of Mr. William. I'm going to call him Mr. William. See, when you got behavior, see, this is how it works. You got the behavior downtown. You got the situation on 13th and Ann where they did reduce one of the bonds. You got to remember that. You got to pay for that. So you got to pay for that. So I understand. When I posted that this morning, I understand what we're dealing with. But you understand that's a payback? That's how the game works, y'all. Yeah, I'm upset that his bond was only $10,000. He got out for $100,000. $1,000 bond, he owned. He shot at a man, a black man, and a black woman where he thought they had stole a bicycle. Yeah, Mr. William. He shot at the car, put a bullet hole in the back, and the only thing stopping him from shooting again was that the gun jammed, according to sources. I'm just repeating what happened. They were out delivering newspapers here in this city. He took his gun and shot at the woman and the car and put a bullet in the car. The only thing that stopped him from shooting again, according to sources, the gun jammed. This is a police report said the gun jammed. And he couldn't shoot again. So by the end time, the police arrived and he was arrested. He was arrested for being a felon with a firearm, which usually 5 years. I don't know if you all know. Usually that's 5 years off gate. A felon with a firearm, that's usually 5 years off max. You can get out on bond, but it's still 5 years, and the bond is usually not lower than $100,000. And shooting at a vehicle, which I don't understand how you're shooting at a vehicle when you were actually shooting attempted assault is what it should have been charged with. If you're shooting and the person is in the vehicle, that's not shooting at a vehicle moving. That's shooting at a person. That is attempted assault. That's what the charge should have been. But the charge was worded just right. $10,000 bond, folks, is $1,000. And like I said this morning, you all want us to be critical of our own community, and I was very critical of 13th and Ann, and very critical of the process, because we still have 5 young people behind bars, 5 and 1 older. There'll be 4 young people, 1 older. It was 6 all arrested altogether. 1 is a 15-year-old. All of them have a $150,000 bond. We still have some folks back there, y'all, with a $150,000 bond, and then this person got a $10,000 bond. But you can't really cry foul. You can't cry foul because we went to bat for a football player and got his bond reduced all the way to nothing. And he was released to go play football. So now when you cut a deal like that, when a man takes a gun and shoots at at a woman and her husband for delivering papers, you can't really cry foul. You can get mad, you can get upset, but it's hard to cry foul. You can say it's unjust, it's unfair, but it's hard to cry foul. Because their community or someone in their family will can say, well, you let him go and he had a $150,000 bond and you reduced his to 0. See how the system works? See how our addiction has us? Our addiction has us that we can't even, they can send us what they want to send us and we have to accept it because we're addicted and we haven't figured out how to break free of our addiction that we have post-Obama, present day Trump. We haven't figured out how to break free of it. We haven't figured out how to heal the addiction. I was talking to my friend this morning about it. One of my supervisors, one of my workers, my good brother Frankie, and we were talking about this. He said, "Man, you own something there." And I said, "I'm writing. I've been writing this for a few minutes." He said, "Well, what's the healing process?" I said, "Well, the first part," I said, "how do we deal with the folks that we have that are addicted? What the people that we know are addicted," I said, "how do we get them cured?" So the ones we looked at the success stories. There are 2 things that cure an addiction: a strong support system and a strong faith-based community. And you guys say, I just get hypocritical. I just call the faith-based medication. Yeah, if you get spooky with it. But if you take it in good doses, it's not self-medication. If you take faith-based in good dosage in a reasonable rate, at a good dosage and level off, and don't OD on it where you forget where you came from, then it becomes a good, strong element for support. And support, period, is the number 1 thing an addicted person needs. When you're dealing with an addiction, the support the network, the brotherhood, the camaraderie, the love. I can see a person that's struggling with addiction, and my wife likes to donate stuff. Sometimes she comes out of the closet and she buys stuff and she doesn't need it, so she likes to give it away. So she said, take this to one of the girls at where you work at. And you ought to see the joy in the face when I bring up, it's a brand new, nice pocketbook that she probably wasn't going to wear, wasn't going to use, or wasn't going to take care, do anything with it. And you give it to them, and their eyes light up. The love is somebody cared enough to give them something that give them a piece of sense about themselves. I can see it's that camaraderie, that's how you overcure an addiction. You have to have something to step up on. And that's what we're lacking in our community. We don't have enough wins. We're losing. We don't win enough. 910-765-0097. We don't have enough wins. We're losing at every angle because we're not haven't figured out how to play this game with addiction. So when I go back to our children that's sitting there at Waffle House in the morning, it's an addiction. It's an addiction based on videos. It's an addiction based on YouTube. It's an addiction based on Facebook. It's this anger, this going mouthing back and forth, this music, this culture that I can just do what I want to, say what I want to, be anything I want to without being checked. And I don't need to be checked. You don't want to check me. I'm grown. It's that addiction that filters to the uncultured behavior that you saw in that video. It also deals with some of the parents that know them children. I hope it wasn't one. I swear, Lord knows it won't be one of mine. I would go have a fit. I couldn't see my child doing something like that. They know how to behave themselves. They were taught how to behave themselves. That's where we at today, folks. That's where we at. We have a disease that we have to cure, and we haven't figured out how to cure it. But I'm telling you, if we support one another, it was a bad week after Friday. I got it tore up, man. Some people told me that I wasn't supporting. I was because I pointed the finger at us. We'll point the finger at this man, but we won't point the finger and say, I got battered, beat up, some nasty inboxes. I'm sorry. The other day, Friday, because I have to deal with some legal situation I've been dealing with. Finally got my license back for the first time since 2012. I lost my license in 2012. I finally got him back. It's been 6 years. This has been 6 years since I've been able to drive a car legal. Which if I drove, I wasn't looking over my shoulder scared I'm going to get stopped by somebody. And it felt good. It felt good to be getting back on your feet, getting to be free. But you have to deal with what you have to deal with. When I slip, you pay for it. Mama always said, she said, make your bed, you lay in it, boy. She said, make your bed, you lay in it. She always said that. And when you make it, you better hold, you don't hide from it, you don't duck from it, you don't run from it. That's your bed. You made it that way. Don't you be hiding your head hold your head to the ground, looking like, oh, no. I never remember when I got in trouble. My good brother, Darrell Brown, called me. He said, I never forget the day I got out of jail. I was in jail, and the day I got out, he called me on the phone. He said, brother, get up out of the bed right now. You ain't the first. You're not going to be the last. Then get your butt up, because I know you're sitting there sulking. And I was home sulking. He said, get up. You got work to do. You got a job to do, and I'm going to stop you from doing your job. And he told me his situation. He said, man, I've been there, done that. Get your butt up out the chair. And I did. I got back up and kept running like that. Been running ever since. So that's what it's much needed. Yes, I love to self-testify. Y'all know that about me. I love to use myself as a living, here I am, take me. Yeah, guess who? Let me be the one. Let me tell you my story. Because the story of conquering, we all can. So when I point the finger, understand I'm pointing the finger at myself too. I'm not pointing just at the situation and not looking and saying, Darrell, you got stuff you got to check too. Because if you point some stuff out on me, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm working on that. I got that. I'm working on that. And if you want to help me, I don't mind. I'll take any help I can get. And that's how we have to work to build to save this community. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of different ideas, and we have to take that approach. We got to stop beating up on each other and their ideas. With that being said, we have the banquet is Saturday night. That being said, I need folks to come down to the radio station, WLTT. The banquet will be held at the Coastline Convention Center on the 23rd, 2018, 7 p.m. Make it an impact banquet. I want y'all to come out that night. Sponsored by CLI Radio. This is a community-based station. It's owned by the owners here at this station. You all know the work that they've done in the community. It's been done for years. Somebody said to me, they said, man, you a cheerleader now. I cheer when I see this good. I've had some ups and downs with a lot of people in this town, but I always look at a person's work too. I may not agree with a person on everything. I mean, I didn't agree with Bush on everything. I didn't agree with Obama on everything. Me and my brother don't even agree on everything. Yeah, we don't agree all the time, but we understand each other better now. Yeah, we don't always agree. I respect him. He respects me. I respect his struggle. He respects my struggle. I know how he got through. I know how I got through. That's what unity is all about. So come and support the radio station. CLI Radio presents Making an Impact Banquet, night of music, honorees, silent auctions, impactful information. I want you all to come out Saturday, June the 23rd, 2018 at 7 p.m. Come out, make your presence known, get there early. Tickets per person are $45. You can get them right here at the station, or you may be able to get them that night. Come out and support the station. Come out what we're trying to do. Continue to support the programming here. Continue to support what we got going on our Facebook page. Continue to support No Covers as well. You all know where I'm at on Amazon. I'm working on a new book right now, so it's coming out pretty soon. I'm working on that. Keep running as always. Stay close, family. That's what I'm going to come back next week with the Q on. I may do it on Friday because there's a cure to this addiction problem. I didn't want to go with that one. These are the 8 signs. Remember, I'm going to give them to you again. Unsuccessful attempts to quit. A cured trigger release. This is when you have a cured trigger release. They feed you something and it releases a behavior back. Loss of control is number 3. Staying vigilant. That's our problem. Staying vigilant, just like an addict. We don't stay vigilant. We have a cross addiction. We self-medicate. And then we have a genetic vulnerabilities for the problems we have. These are what we have to cure to get out of our addiction. So I'm going to come back with another show on the cure to this, because there is a cure. There is a professional psychological cure that we have, that we work a program for addicts. And I think if our community worked that program, then we'll find ourselves begin to grow all across the country and grow at a rate that we need to grow in this post-Obama, present day Trump reality. Obama's days is gone, folks. You can wish him back all you want to. You can try to get him back in 2020. But I'm telling you, them particular days is over with. That Kambala feeling, because that's what now stop. Don't say it. I'm gonna get in trouble. That feeling that you had of exuberation, that's what you had. There were some good things happen. I'm not knocking the Obama administration. I'm not knocking what he did. He did a lot. If nothing else, he pushed the hope up to another level, if nothing else. But a lot of communities benefited and we didn't. And now it's time to benefit. Now it's time to pressure up. As we couldn't pressure up on him, it's time to pressure up and benefit. This is what gets me our lackadaisical attitude. We couldn't. Out of respect, we couldn't pressure on him. We couldn't put the pressure on him. Why? Because he was the first black male. We know that. That's a taken. That's given. We couldn't pressure on him about police brutality. We couldn't pressure on him about injustice. But we were on our best behavior during those time periods. So now, just because we have somebody in office, don't regress back to the ugly behaviors. Push up the same way we didn't push up on him. Push up now with the same sense of pride that we had in our community back then. That's what's happening. We lost our pride. So I'm going to come back and give you the antidote for the addiction. In the meantime, I appreciate you all for staying with us today. I didn't get off today. I hope my mama's proud. Peace and blessings.